Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Krissy Chin, here on a mission to help you take your knowledge and turn it into a profit. I'm an expert in course creation and membership offers that create reoccurring revenue so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and process, marketing, sales, all the things that you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbook growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it. Let's welcome Brad Bizjack. He's a certified high-performance coach, personal development expert, creator of Appreciation Academy, podcast host, husband, dad, dog dad. And Brad helps people maximize their life and elevate their mindset, career, and relationships to a level beyond anything they ever thought possible. Brad, I'm super stoked to have you here today on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Krissy, I'm pumped to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited about the topic that we're going to talk about.
Me too.
We're going to talk about the 3 mistakes that slow your success. And I'm all about kind of speeding up this process to get where you want to go. So I think that, and I already have the inside scoop of what these are, and they are so on point, and 100% going to help you get there faster. And enjoy the process, I think 100%. So before we dive into those, I'm going to make you guys wait just a minute because I want you to hear Brad's story. I met Brad in a mastermind. And I don't know how much he's going to share of his story, but I know, and maybe this is going to be part of it. Maybe I'm stealing a little bit of thunder, probably not. But we met in a mastermind and we have a similar background we have this experience with network marketing. And so we did click right away, just kind of having that both be a part of both of our stories. And now we both have our own businesses that are very successful. So we kind of connected right away. We have a really fun time in this mastermind together. And Brad has some really exciting things coming up that I'm super excited to share with you guys. So it only made sense to bring Brad on the podcast to talk about these 3 mistakes that people make and let you dive in.
Oh my gosh. Super excited about this. I can't wait to talk about this. This is such a topic that's just near and dear to my heart. And I think that if we can help people just succeed faster and feel more alive in the process, not just have more achievement, but also more fulfillment as they do it, that's what it's all about. So to give you guys just kind of a little bit of a background, obviously Krissy shared with you how we met, but it kind of is, it's funny because it all stems from, you ever notice that in success, like the limiting beliefs that you have about your life dictate everything? Well, I had 2 big ones that I dealt with my whole life. And one was that I wasn't enough. And the other was that money was an incredibly hard thing to make, right? Money was something that was super hard. Like once you had it, it would disappear. And if you didn't have enough of it, you couldn't be happy. And I remember one day when I was a kid, this kind of set the path for where I was going, asking, why is it that you guys are always so stressed out? And I remember her saying something interesting. My mom said, well, Brad, it'd be easier to be happy if we had more money. And so that's where that belief came from. Money is hard to make. Once you have it, it will disappear. And if you don't have a lot of it, you can't be happy. And so I also had these feelings of not feeling enough, not feeling like I mattered. And I'm sure everyone deals with that from time to time. Even if they have a positive mindset on the outside, they have that on the inside. And so when I started my adult life, I remember I was $92,000 in debt and I had a lot of resentment, a lot of struggle. And I was that guy that was really good at pretending that I was amazing on the outside, but on the inside, I was dying. I was using positivity as a coping mechanism for my insecurity. And so at that point, all I wanted was to be financially free and be debt free and create this life where I felt like I was sprinting towards something instead of running away from something. And at that time in my life, I found online business, network marketing. And it was the ticket. I remember I saw these stories of freedom and choice, and I wanted that so freaking bad. But have you ever felt like no matter how much time you spend focusing on something, it feels like it's 2 steps forward and 3 steps back? Like you feel like you're trying so hard, but it's not working. That's where I was. I was trying everything. Nothing worked, but I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And I was inviting, I was following up, and I was just trying so hard to change my circumstances. But I started to get in my head and I started to ask myself, am I just not destined to succeed? Is this really all there is? Am I destined for mediocrity? Something must be wrong with me. And I literally had people on my team quitting saying, if all it took was hard work, he'd already be at the top, right? So now my team's starting to quit. I'm feeling like a failure in business, failure to be a strong provider. Just seeing other successful people made me feel less than, made me feel miserable. And I thought once I achieved success, then I could be happy and grateful. And I craved it. And all these other people were flying by me and they seemed to have it so much easier. And I was doing all the same things, but it wasn't working for me, but it was working for them. And I remember getting these states of burnout where it'd be 11 p.m. and I'd be sitting on the couch knowing I need to go to bed, but instead I'm feeling sorry for myself and I'm binge eating microwave nachos, watching Friends reruns. And I was getting pissed off at myself that I was depressed and just these really negative feelings. And I remember my laptop staring at me and it was like, it was begging me to change my life, but I just didn't care, even though I cared so much. And I asked my mentor, like, what's going on? She's like, dude, you need a mindset coach. Like this mindset is not going to allow you to get to where you want to be. But I was $92,000 in debt. But something like, you ever had those feelings where something just feels right and you go after it, even though it's scary, even though you don't know how it's going to go? I maxed out my very last credit card to hire a coach. And on our very first call, she shared something with me that changed my life forever. And it's guided me to this day. And it's kind of the basis of everything that I do. I was telling her how I'm trying so hard, how I'm doing all the stuff. I'm reading the books. I'm listening to the podcast. Why isn't this working for me? But it seems to be working for everyone else. And she said, Brad, you're so attached to success that you're missing the whole point. You're under the impression that you shouldn't be where you are right now. She said, Brad, business, money, and success is never going to cause lasting happiness. It's happiness and appreciation for your life that will lead to success. If you want to succeed, you need to start to learn to appreciate everything about your past, everything about your childhood, everything about your business. You need to find a way to love where you are right now, because appreciation is the master skill to faster success. And light bulbs kind of went off because I was resenting all of those things. My bank balance, my business, other people that had success. I compared myself to everyone and I didn't realize that my existing circumstances were all I've got to work with. And so I figured, what I'm trying isn't working, so I'm going to dive in and fix this. And I buy a ticket to a mindset conference to really begin to work on this. But the universe is funny. Have you ever had moments where the minute you decide to start changing your life, it's like the universe tests you to see if you're for real? So in the months leading up to this mindset event, I get fired from my job. Now, keep in mind, I have no savings. I'm $92,000 in debt, and now my income's gone. And I instantly go right back to those old patterns of blame and frustration. I got a part-time job teaching group fitness, making a couple, I think it was like $24,000 a year to cover bills. And I had to put my student loans into forbearance because I couldn't make the payment. And at the same time, Janice, my wife, girlfriend at the time, was saying like, dude, we've been together 10 years. Like, no pressure, but what's going on? Right? And I couldn't afford it. And I had all these limiting beliefs about marriage. I just felt completely hopeless, like a failure. But luckily, I already had tickets to the mindset conference and something pulled me there. I had to get there. And I remember landing in San Diego, head to the grocery store to buy peanut butter and bread because I couldn't afford eating out at the time. And I get the groceries, I head right back to my hotel and I checked the bank balance like I did 100 times a day at that point. And I had overdrafted my account across the country. I'm in the negative. So like dig that knife in a little bit deeper, right? Why is this happening to me? And it was this deep feeling of shame. And I remember walking through the doors of that conference, tail between my legs. And the topic that day was that appreciating your past, appreciating your present, and appreciating your future goals is the key to faster success. Learning to love everything you hate, learning to be grateful for your past and use your pain instead of being dominated by it, learning to fall in love with your present circumstances instead of resenting them when you're not where you want to be yet. And that day I went through one of the greatest transformational experiences of my life. I learned what mindsets and beliefs slowed down success. And I started to adopt those changes into my life. And that day is when I came up with the course for Appreciation Academy. And within 2.5 years of some of the things we're going to cover today and beyond today, we paid off that $92,000 of debt. We moved to the same city. I bought her that, we were doing long distance, by the way, I didn't mention that. We bought her that ring, retired her from her corporate job, went on to generate a multi-million-dollar business in the following couple of years. And now we have a 1-year-old at home at the time of this recording, and I'm never going to have to miss a single memory with her. And it was that skill of appreciation that changed my life. I finally understood life is always happening for you and not to you. The people in my life, they were guiding me, the problems, being broke, painful childhood, lack of business success. It was meant to happen. And if it didn't, I wouldn't be right here, right now, teaching you. The list of things that used to be my biggest challenges are the catalysts to why I'm here with you guys today. And so ever since then, I made a promise to myself that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to find a way to appreciate it and love it. And I learned that appreciation is the master skill to faster success. And so my hope today is that we dive into some of the concepts that allow you to succeed faster so you can go through this transformation way sooner than I ever did. But that's just a little bit of a background on where I kind of came from and how I got to this point, kind of summarized. But I hope just that story alone, Krissy, serves your audience and helps people see just it's the mindset behind the strategy. If you have the right strategy, but you don't have the mindset to apply it, it's not going to work. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Such a powerful story. Love so much. I wrote down a few words. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might have seen me raise my hand when you're like, have you ever felt like you're not enough? That was one of my things, right? Not being enough. And I overcame that. I realized it when I was getting mindset coaching. So I'm like a full believer in mindset coaching. I believe you need a mindset coach, whether it's, a one-time program or one-time thing or ongoing. I mean, we can always be working on it ongoing, but at least starting with a one-time thing has made a huge impact on not only my business, but my personal life and my relationships as well. And I've talked about that on podcast episodes. So you guys can binge all the episodes to hear about all the little stories I've shared about mindset and how it's just made this huge shift. But that was me. I was feeling not enough. And in my business, it showed up as me feeling like this pressure to create and be more successful and make more money. And once I hit this goal, then I would be enough. And then you realize, no, I still have that feeling. So then the next, okay, well, then when I do $1 million, then I'll be enough. And it's still that same feeling. And so the mindset coaching was what identified that and made me realize I am enough just as I am. Like I'll get emotional talking about it. And it changed everything in my business because now I approach things because it's fun and I want to, and not because there's this pressure. And I literally now have this mindset that I don't have to create another single thing and I am enough. Right. And that's super powerful, but I continue to create because now it's coming from a place of love and joy. And so I hope that, if you're not there yet and you're like, oh, that's me, I feel not enough, that, maybe you can get a little bit out of this podcast episode. Maybe you can continue on your journey with Brad as he walks you through this, because I'm getting goosebumps and chills. It's super powerful, and not only for business, but in life as well. So love that. Also love that you talked about appreciating your past. I think this is something I talk about. It's the reason why I'm open about, having a failed marriage before the one I have now, and talking about how I learned so much from that and use those experiences to get where I am, right? Appreciating some of these crappy points in your life to get you further along and help you. So I'm excited to kind of, whether or not we dive into that more. But that resonated with me as well, as it's something that I do too. So, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing and generating success there. So I think there are these mindset pieces that really make a difference and an impact. And when you focus your energy there on getting better personally, focusing on the mindset and just being happy with where you're at, then the rest will come. And you kind of touched on that too. So I'm excited to dive in.
Oh my gosh, you're giving me goosebumps and chills when you're talking about that. And what you just said about appreciating your past, is it cool with you if I touch on that real quick before I go into 3 points that we're going to talk about? And I think a lot of people do this, where they take a look at situations of their past and they're like, that happened to me. And they use that as the reason as to why they can't succeed. They use it as a reason why they're stuck, or maybe a limiting belief came from it. But I would argue that it gave you one of your greatest gifts. If you think about, like, what I always like to do as an example is, if you're listening to this, are you a better parent now because you didn't like the way your parents may have parented you? Are you better with money now because you saw a bad example of money growing up? Are you better in marriage because of a past experience, or maybe you saw the example of divorce? my whole point is, what if the worst days of your life were secretly the best days of your life in disguise? And what if your pain has a gift inside of it to lead you to emotional freedom? And what if you adopt that belief that life's always happening for you and not to you, and you can see the past as a gift? Not saying you want to live in the pain. The past only becomes the future if you live there, but saying you can appreciate it and you can learn from it so that you can grow. All of a sudden, the resentment or the anger or maybe the limitation doesn't hold you nearly as much. So I just wanted to touch on that before we dive into stuff. But Krissy, I just think your story is so powerful, and I just love the emotion behind it and the goosebumps and all that stuff. And just want to celebrate you for just all your growth. It's absolutely beautiful and amazing. So
thank you, Brad.
yeah.
Yeah, living with no regrets. I always talk about that. And I think it's kind of like, you're like, no regrets, but that's what it is. It's realizing that I don't regret marrying that person because went through some crappy things, but I learned a ton. I grew. Now I do things differently because of that. So I don't regret, I don't regret. I always think about, like, I never lived in the dorms. When I was in college, I wanted to live with my best friend who was 2 years older. And that's how I met my first husband, because we lived kitty corner. And I always think, if I would have lived in the dorms, I never would have met him. But then I'm like, you know what? I never would have gone through all of or maybe I would have met him, I just in a different way. But I was meant to do that, to live those experiences. So what can I learn from it? And how can I take that to move me forward? So love all of this. Super pumped to dive in. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Oh my gosh. And that gave you so much incredible strength. I just love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So let's talk about 3 big mistakes people make that really slow their success down, kind of holds them back from what they want. And this is going to ruffle some feathers a little bit, because I'm going to tell people things that might be against what society tells them. And the first huge mistake that I see a lot of people making on the path to success is setting safe goals. Setting goals they know they can hit, otherwise known as what's realistic. And I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow. I'm not saying set goals like that, but I'm saying, one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Will Smith, and it says, realism is the fastest traveled road to mediocrity. And I'm not talking about denying your current reality, your current resources, things like that. I'm saying that we want to set goals that puts us in a place to become resourceful and create. And what most people do is they set goals based on what they have or haven't been able to do in the past, which is causing them to live in the past. And wherever you focus, that's what you create more of. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. And the past only becomes the future if you live there. So people are saying, well, I haven't hit this revenue goal. I haven't hit this number in my business. Maybe I should just tone it down and go after this instead. And all that's doing is causing people to stay in the same spot. If you think about not setting a massive goal, then you have nothing to look forward to or get excited about, which means that you're more likely to look at your problems. And if you look at your problems, focusing on the problem just perpetuates the problem. And I'll give you an example of a little short story with this. One of my friends, his name is John. Krissy knows John. Just one of my best friends in the world. I love him so much. And I was talking with him, doing some work with him a while back. And at the time, our business, Krissy, is it okay if I share some numbers with your audience?
Yeah,
okay?
We like numbers.
Okay, we like numbers. Cool. At the time, this is about a year and a couple of months ago, our business was doing something like $25,000 a month in revenue, right? And I was talking, and I'd say that's livable. It's good, right? That's a great income. It's awesome. And so I was super appreciative of it, super grateful of it. And I remember talking with John, and I was basically he was asking me what I want, what goals I want. I'm like, if I really push myself, I can get to about $33,000 a month in revenue, $100,000 a quarter. Sounds amazing. That's incredible. That's a big goal. And he goes, why would you set such a weak goal? And I was like, what? I was like, excuse me, sir, $33,000 a month is pretty cool. And he said, why would you ever set a goal that you know you can hit? That's missing the point. He said, you need to set goals that literally cause you to become a different person. Because with a massive goal, you have to think very differently than you do now if you're going to achieve it. The mindset that created your current life is not going to be the mindset to break you through the next level. And so he said, what really excites you? What makes you kind of go, oh my gosh, what's that thing? And it instantly came out of me. I was like, $100,000 a month. That's what I want, $100,000 a month in revenue. And my state changed, my energy exploded. I just felt fully alive when I said it. There was just one problem. we just had a baby. Well, I didn't, my wife had the baby, but,
thank you for validating that. Men always say that, like, I had a baby. We're like, you did not have a baby. Like, you did not push that thing out.
I did not do any of that. I just held a hand.
You contributed, and I'm sure I know you are amazing to your wife and so amazing with your daughter. So I know you contribute in the ways that you can contribute.
I added value, but I didn't push. Anyways, we just had a baby and it was a traumatic childbirth. Lily almost died. She wasn't breathing when she came out. Janice was in the hospital for 14 days with a mystery infection. They couldn't figure out. The best infectious disease team in the country was on it. They couldn't figure it out. It was one of the most scary times of our life. And it was right after I had this conversation with John. But I remember what he said that stuck with me. He said, live in the feelings of your wishes. Live in the feelings of what you really want, not trying to marginally improve your circumstances. Live in the feelings of what could be. And so I kept picturing it, even with a newborn at home after we got out of the hospital, I kept picturing it, $100,000 a month. That sounds amazing. I live in those feelings. And I started having his voice come to me. He said, huge dreams change the way you think. And one day after rehearsing this for like a month or so, I remember being in the shower. Don't worry, I'm not getting weird. But you ever realize that your best ideas come to you when you don't have a pen? I had thought of these new ideas to share Appreciation Academy, my online course, and to help large network marketing teams. 2 ideas that just, holy cow, how did I never think of this before? And so I ran with it. And within a week of coming up with that idea, we did $70,000 in revenue in a week and went on to generate $800,000 in revenue in 6 months. And I don't share that to impress you. I share it to impress upon you that I realized something really powerful that I hope you take from this. You don't set goals for the certainty of achieving them. You set them so that you can allow yourself to expand and become a new person. Every single time in my life that things have exploded, it came from setting goals that I didn't think were possible. It's why I call it atypical goal setting. If you think about the consequence, here's a great idea, a great example that I think we can use. And Krissy, yell at me if I'm going too long on this, but here's an example that we can use. Think about little kids. Up until the age of 12, little kids are the greatest role model of success that I've ever found. Because at the age of 12, something interesting happens. They get told to sit down, shut up, not speak unless spoken to. And if they don't get an A+, they are a failure. And so they're encouraged not to fail. They're encouraged not to explore their passions. And they're told they can't speak up for themselves. They're told they need to sit back, and they're trained to avoid failure. They're trained to avoid mistakes. So they're groomed to be a perfectionist, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And this is what happens right around adolescence, age 12. But before that, something powerful happens. If you look at what happens before that, your kids are the most creative wizards in the world. They want to be Spider-Man and Superman and an astronaut and the president all on the same day. So they come in the room in their Spider-Man underwear with a suit and tie and an astronaut helmet and give a presidential address. And what happens to their energy? It skyrockets. And so their creativity skyrockets, which changes their existing circumstances because they find new creative solutions to what they're experiencing right now. It is the greatest role model of success I can find. But when you set safe goals that you know you can hit, you likely won't even hit those because they don't pull you. They're not compelling. You don't feel energy. You don't feel momentum. You start to settle. You start to say things like, well, this is just how my life is. You start to rely on push motivation, that willpower. Nothing wrong with willpower. It's beautiful. There are times when it's required, but you rely on that and that alone, which causes you to get burnt out. And then you find yourself like I did at 11 p.m. on the couch, binge eating nachos, feeling sorry for yourself, watching Friends reruns. And your circumstances don't stay the same. They actually get worse. But when you set huge goals, your energy's at an all-time high. You're creative. You feel pulled. So working hard is no longer hard work. You just do it. And you take risks you otherwise wouldn't have taken. You risk being seen. You put yourself out there in a way you've never done before, which allows you to succeed faster than ever before. And even if you miss your goal, you're so much further than you ever would have been if you set a safe goal. And you don't burn out. You actually feel like your energy increases and massive success happens. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is setting safe goals that they know you can hit. We need to let go of this perfection mindset, which we'll talk about in a second, and realize we're setting these goals for who we become, because at the end of the day, on your last breath, the last day of your life, you are not going to give a crap how much money you made. You're not going to care what your rank was in your network marketing business. You're going to care about the person you were and the legacy you left, meaning the emotional feelings you left in someone else. Your eulogy does not have your accomplishments, it has your character. And so if you think about the person you become, if that becomes your new ambition behind everything you do, to become something more, then you no longer fear being seen, and you put yourself out there and you try things you never tried before. So set huge dreams, not safe goals that you know you can hit. Set dreams that cause you to literally change who you are. That's number one. Krissy, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I love it. And I'm thinking about this eulogy thing as we just passed on a year of my dad's passing, and we're going to do a memorial. And so like this obituary, and I'm thinking like, yeah, nobody writes like, and Brad made $1 million or had a multi-million-dollar business. No, they're like, Brad's the kind of person. I was thinking about this the other day when my brother-in-law brought home a 2-week-old kitten that was going to die in the rain. And my husband just handed the phone over to me, like, you make the call. And I was like, how? I can't tell him no, like, fine, bring this kitten home. And then he goes down to go to bed, and I am feeding the kitten with a syringe, like a little eyedropper food. And I'm like, literally was thinking like, I hope someone says like, Krissy's the kind of person that would wake up every 2 hours to feed a 2-week-old kitten so it didn't die, right? Like, they're not going to say Krissy is the kind of person that will set a goal and make $1 million or made $1 million, right? So I love that, pointing that out. Like, you're like building your legacy, create like your character. Who do you want to be remembered as, right? And how you touch people's lives. So love all of that. Love it. Eating it up, taking mental notes. I'm trying to write down some notes. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you see me like with my little pen, writing down some things. This is all so good.
I had no idea that you rescued a kitten. That's beautiful.
Well, my brother-in-law brought it home, but then he was like, we'll feed it in the morning. I'm like, oh, this thing needs a heating pad. And then my vet tech sister, I'm like, what do I do? She's like, oh, and also you're going to have to get it to go pee. Like I didn't know this, like baby kittens can't pee on their own. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like so random off the subject, but like, she's like, yeah, the moms lick them too. And I was like, well, that's not happening. She's like, no. So of course I YouTube it. And there's this girl, and she's like, you just take a Kleenex and you just like hold it, and then you like just tickle it for 30. And it worked. Got it to pee like 4 times before we sent it off to, we found a home for it, and they're taking care of it. We can't have cats because Michael's so allergic, but yeah, that was.
Would you say it caused you to become a different person in the process?
Yes, yes, exactly. I'm wiser, and now someone's going to put that in my eulogy.
I love that so much. I did not know that about you. That's just fantastic news. And I'm going to take this story and feel joy from it for the rest of the day.
I love it. I love it. I lost a lot of sleep that night, but rescued a kitten, so it was all worth it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. So number two, and this is something that I think everyone deals with at some point in their life. And that is one of the biggest mistakes of success is trying to be perfect. It will kill your dreams. We're groomed to be perfect. Like we talked about before, we're groomed to avoid failure. That's how society teaches us. Because what are we supposed to do? If you think about where that system came from, we're groomed to be on an assembly line, not miss anything, make sure that we are able to do the job right. And so we fear failure. And especially in business, like in the corporate world, no judgment to corporate. If that's your thing, that's beautiful. But in corporate world, success kind of is a little bit scarce because it's scarcity mindset surrounding it. Because if you think about it, people are competing for one spot, a promotion. And so they're afraid of what happens if it doesn't go perfect. What happens if I'm not on all the time, right? And they fear not being able to get promoted, which if that is your chosen path, no judgment. In business, that type of mindset won't work because there's success available to literally everyone. There are 1,700 new millionaires created every day. Every day. How is that possible if there's a limited pie of success and you need to be deserving of a limited pie? How does that make any sense if there's 1,700 new millionaires created every day? The pie is abundant. It's expanding. You could always have a little scoop. Don't go to the ocean with a spoon, go to the ocean with a pump. And that's how I've always viewed, not always, I shouldn't say always. This is what I've learned about how to view success. But what most people do is they try to be perfect. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Tony Robbins. And it's, perfection is the lowest standard you can ever set for yourself because it guarantees pain. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, because I was trying to be perfect. I would always want to make sure that I knew how before I started. I'd always, even if I did achieve, it didn't feel like enough, And so perfection, the reason why, I just kind of, at this point, working with now over 10,000 people, what I've discovered is that perfection really guarantees pain in 3 ways. And this is one of the biggest things that slows down your success, your dreams. The first way perfection guarantees pain is that you likely won't even start because you're too focused on how, right? You're so focused on, how do I make sure I don't fail? How do I figure it out? It's like reading a book about swimming instead of getting in the pool, right? You're trying to study swimming when you really have to get in there and surround yourself with people that are going to make sure you don't drown. But you have to get in the pool if you're going to learn how to swim. With perfection, most people are so focused on studying, how do I actually make this work? In network marketing, how do I send the perfect invite? In business, how do I make sure this launch is perfect exactly as I want it? And so they get into what's called personal development paralysis, where they study, but they don't act. And so they sit there feeling this hole in their heart, knowing they're meant to be so much bigger than they are right now, living their life out loud way more than they are right now. But they aren't living up to that potential. And they feel like they're dying inside because they're craving the how. So you don't even start, and you feel so much pain that way. What I've discovered is that when you know what you want and why you want it, the how will reveal itself. You'll just figure out how. You'll just do it. You'll figure it out and you'll go for it. There have been times in everyone's life where they've said, you know what? I don't know how this is going to go, but screw it. I'm in. Let's find a way or make the way. And that's where success comes. The second way that perfection guarantees pain is that you won't allow yourself to fail. So every time you do, which is guaranteed, you will feel like a failure instead of collecting data on what didn't work. You will feel like you are a failure, which is obviously not true, but that's what you'll feel like. And think about this though. If you try to avoid failure, you will never thrive. If you try to avoid failure, you will never succeed the way you could, because success comes from good judgment. Good judgment comes from experience, and experience typically comes from bad judgment. Yes, we have a fantastic business that serves lives all over the world, but what isn't seen is the 7 years of trying to figure things out and it either failing or just a little bit of a taste of success and it not happening, right? 7 years of that, trying to figure it out. But that perseverance in the face of failure, having the courage to show up even when you're afraid of failure, that's where you thrive. But if you feel like a failure, it won't even matter what you achieve. It won't feel like enough, which is actually the third reason, or the third way that perfection guarantees pain. You will bounce from peak, even if you do achieve, you will bounce from peak to peak to peak going, where's the joy? You'll go, I thought the success was going to be here. I thought I'd feel alive when I reach this goal, kind of like Krissy shared in the beginning, right? Where's the fulfillment? How many guys do you know? I work with a lot of network marketers, and there's this, typically in every network marketing company, there's this, thing you hit each year that is celebrated, right? And if you hit this, you're in the top 1% of whatever, right? And every network marketing company has something like that. Well, I know so many people that will hit that number and be stressed out they have to do it again. I know so many parents that make a to-do list and finish the to-do list and are stressed out they have to make one again the next day. And they'll even add things to their to-do list that they've already done just to check it off and feel successful, right? That's perfection. And it makes you feel horrible because you go, I thought that success would be here. And what's really happening is that you're basing your worth on more. And when you base your worth on more, you never hit it. If you think about what worth is love over time. That's worth. That's the equation for worth. Worth equals love over time. But if you're living in perfection, it's you fearing that you're not enough. And so that means your self-worth is rather low if you're craving that perfection. No judgment if it is. I had to work on this myself. And so if you increase the love that you give yourself over time, your worth goes up tremendously. Procrastination disappears. You'll start doing the things. You don't even have to think on it. There's no inner conflict holding you back. You just do it and you move. Nothing's holding you anymore. So those ways, if you live in perfection, those are the ways that you're going to experience pain. You'll either A, never start because you don't know how. B, feel like a failure when you fail, which is guaranteed. Or C, even if you do achieve, it won't feel like enough. And so you're guaranteed pain either way. And so you start getting resentful of the vehicle that was the key to your freedom. You start going, well, I thought there was more than this. I thought this would be fulfilling by now. I thought this would light me up. And you start to take a look at either your inviting or your coursework, or whatever you're doing, whatever your action steps are, as a chore. And so you lose the joy. And then when you lose the joy, that goes into your family, goes into your marriage, goes into your bank account, your money story. Everything is affected by it. And you wake up one day going, what happened to me? Where was I? Like, what happened to the real me that feels alive? That's what perfection does. And so you've always heard progress over perfection. But if you think about it, one of the biggest antidotes to this is to value effort instead of just result. Not saying you don't celebrate the result, but valuing effort. If you think about what really makes you happy, it's progress. If you have a goal of losing 100 pounds and you lose 5 in your first 2 weeks, you feel amazing because you're on the right track to the goal. What if you valued that? What if that's how you started to feel fulfilled from your big goals and big dreams that we talked about in point number 1? So success mistake that slows it down. Number 2, perfection kills dreams. The Krissy Chin. What are your thoughts on this one?
Taking the mic over. No, that was all so good. And this is something we talk about ongoing on the podcast, because if you don't know, one of my mottos is done is better than perfect. And since you're on here, you're going to get a mug that says that on it as a guest. Yay. No, done is better than perfect, because, and this is a strength that I've found in myself that I have and identified that it certainly has led me to generate success faster. I'm really good at seeing that end vision, that big goal and dream, and being like, all right, I have no idea how I'm going to get there, but that's where I see us going. And so I just start. Right? I just start and I'm going, and I'm like, when we hit a roadblock, we'll deal with it then. And so that is something where I'm not a perfectionist. However, I won't say that I never, Brad knows this, because I'll come to masterminds and I'm like, guys, I need a name for a course. I've been thinking about it for months. Right? So there are definitely times where, even though I don't consider myself a perfectionist, I get lost in this, and I have to come back, and done is better than perfect. Enough, like good enough is good enough. And that title, there may be some much better titles than others, but like, it's not going to make or break the success of this next course launch or whatever. Or what really also really resonated is not really knowing. I get this with a lot of students. They just don't really know what to do next. And so they just freeze. Because you're right, they don't want to do the wrong thing. They want it to be perfect. And I just see it holding them back. So if there's a way for you to overcome, which I know if you continue to work with Brad, there's a way for you to overcome this perfectionism. Holy cow, you will see everything skyrocket, and it will be super powerful. So love this topic. We talk about it all the time on the podcast. So completely.
I love that. And to all you high achievers out there that aren't feeling the fulfillment, just want to drop a little quote for you about how my wife changed my life. I was telling her how, like, just like Krissy was saying, like, we all get into these slumps from time to time. We're human. Everyone does. So give yourself a little bit of credit if you are. Every high performer out there falls back into old tendencies, makes you normal. And I got into one of those states a few months back where I was just like, I want this so bad, but I'm so stressed out about the success I'm going after. I'm not getting there fast enough. Insert perfection. And my wife said something really powerful. She said, Brad, the greatest mistake you could ever make is to create something amazing, but never see it. And it just hit me that, wow, I haven't taken a moment to actually look at what we have done, how we have served. I'm so focused on what hasn't been done yet. I haven't stopped to see what we have done and celebrate it. So I just want to add that before going to number 3, but let's go to number 3, shall we?
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. One of my favorites. One of the greatest mistakes people make on the path to success is this mindset of, I should be further along, or I'll be happy when. I should be at that rank. I should be at that income level. I should be here. I should have this amount of money in my bank account. And you end up shooting all over yourself, right? That's what most people do. And they just say, I should be there. I'll be happy once I have more money. Really? You sure about that? You're gonna be happy when you have more money? What do you think came first, the chicken or the egg? Right? Is it the money, the business that creates the mindset, or is it the mindset that creates the business? If we can't find a way to appreciate where we are right now, well, then we're going to miss the lesson that's the key to our freedom. And even if you magically stumble upon achievement, it's not going to feel like enough. If you are mean, I'm making this up, but if you're mean with little money, randomly getting more money will just make you even meaner. Money is just it's an exaggeration of your character. That's all it is. An exaggeration of who you are. And so with business, same thing, right? If you feel like you're not enough before you have big business, even if you randomly achieve and you haven't worked on that side, it won't be enough. You won't feel like enough, and you'll still think I'll be happy when, and success becomes a moving target. And so people live in this land of, I should be further along, or where I am right now is not okay. It needs to be different. And there's nothing wrong with dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is a gem if you use it instead of being used by it. But life likes to teach us lessons. And you ever notice that the lesson life is trying to teach you just kind of gets louder and louder and louder until you stop and actually listen? I learned this from a man named Scott Harris, and it made a big impact in my life. He said, life is full of what's called feathers, bricks, and trucks. And what that means is life will dust you with a feather and say, hey, you should probably pay attention to this. This is probably important. Just take a look. But it's just a feather dusting, so you let go of the tickle and you just move on with your life. You don't pay attention to what life's trying to teach you. And it keeps dusting with a feather and you're not listening. It keeps saying, hey, pay attention. Hey, look at this. And so what does life do? Life says, I really got to get your attention about this. So it writes a note on a sheet of paper and it wraps that note around a brick and it throws that brick through your living room window. And it says, pay attention, dummy. But what most people do is that they're so ticked off that the window is broken and that it shouldn't be broken. It should still be there in their living room. The window shouldn't be like this. The problems in their life shouldn't be here. This problem is getting bigger. This problem is getting worse. That window, glass is shattered everywhere. I'm going to cut my foot open. My kids are going to crawl on it. It shouldn't be like that. And their focus is going to the problem, the broken window, what shouldn't be, instead of looking at the thing that caused it, which is the brick with a note that's sitting in their living room with the lesson that's the key to their freedom. But instead, they choose to avoid it because they're so ticked off about the window. And life's like, I need to get a hold of you. This is so important because life is always rigged in our favor. Life's always trying to teach us something. Life is always giving us a gift to move towards what we want. So life keeps throwing bricks. We keep on not paying attention. And then what life does is it takes some paint and it paints the lesson in the front of a Mack truck and it runs you over as it blares its horn. So you have to listen. You have to pay attention. My hope is you don't get to that point. But when you live in the land of I should be further along, or my marriage should be different, my bank account should be different, my business should be further along, then you're not seeing the beauty in where you are right now. You are exactly where you need to be to learn the lesson that life is trying to teach you. And when you make it wrong to be where you are, then you are resisting the very gift that's the key to your freedom. It's like with anxiety. Every business owner in the world has felt anxiety. When it comes up, what do most people do? They make it wrong. They say this anxiety shouldn't be here. So they start getting anxious that they're anxious. They start getting feelings about feelings because whatever you resist persists. But when you pause and you accept the anxiety and you say, okay, I'm anxious. Why is that? Then something interesting happens. First of all, the anxiety gets lighter and you start to get curious about the cause instead of the symptom. You start to actually focus on the thing that's causing the anxiety and you can actually change it. Same is true in your life with these lessons. There is a lesson there. whatever problem you are experiencing over and over and over again, whether it's money, business, whatever it is, there's a lesson there. Take a look at the areas of your life that are not where you want them to be. What keeps coming up? There's something there that you're resisting. That's the key to your breakthrough. So once you start practicing appreciation for your challenges, you receive the lesson that allows you to change those challenges. Last thing I'll share about this. When we were $92,000 in debt, we started practicing appreciation for being in debt. And everyone around us looked at us like we were nuts. Why would you be grateful you're in debt? Aren't you going to be grateful when you're out of debt? But yeah, of course I'm going to be grateful when I'm out of debt. If I'm not grateful now, then how am I going to get there? And we started to notice something. We started to notice that all of a sudden we had a good time again. And our business started growing, even though we were doing similar actions, because our energy changed. People were receiving something different just from that energy alone. We ended up getting out of debt in just over a year and a half. Everything shifted from this just because we started appreciating the biggest challenges of our life instead of resisting the biggest challenges in our life. So learn to appreciate where you are now. It's teaching you a lesson and you're exactly where you need to be. Let go of that should, let go of that expectation, because all suffering in life comes from expectation that it should be different. If you appreciate where you are right now, and favorite quotes, not me, it's Uncle Tony Robbins says, if you trade your expectations for appreciations, your life changes in an instant. Everything shifts when you live this way and you will succeed so much faster. So Krissy, I hope this adds tremendous value to you guys. This is one of the biggest things that's just most important on speeding up success. It's all mindset. And so what are your thoughts on this point?
No, it's so good. So good. And that third point I wrote down, mindset coach, when you were just talking about that, helps you with, gives you the tools. So like, it's so important to have someone to like bring this to light, but right here, even in this, third mistake that we make that slows our success, you just gave us a tool right there. So I want to highlight it and point it out, that example of someone getting anxiety and then saying, okay, why is this happening? Or it could be a decision that you make in your business or that you're not making. Why am I unable to make this decision? And dig deeper, like right there, and just take it, back and back and back. Okay, why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way? Why can't I come to this conclusion faster? What's really holding me back? Like being able to take that process and do it every single day will help you overcome many obstacles. So right there, you just gave everybody a tool that can already change their life in a day. So I appreciate you for that. And doing that for people. But this is what mindset coaches do. This is why I love and appreciate the mindset training that I've had in the past and will continue to do in the future, because it gives you more awareness, helps you refocus, and gives you the tools to continue to be better and do better and live in joy and happiness, and all the success will come with it. So I love it. I've loved everything we've talked about today, the stories that you've shared. You've already given people some tangible things that they can go and do, moving forward, but you have something really exciting that's happening right now. And so I'm really excited and appreciate you so much for offering this to my people as well. So I want you to talk a little bit about Success Accelerator, which is a 10-day challenge. And guys, don't get scared about challenge, like embrace a challenge. And if you're going to decide to do this, which I think that you should, and Brad probably thinks that you should, go in it full-heartedly, dedicate yourself to it and actually complete it, right? Like set that goal to do the 10-day challenge, be intentional about it and don't be scared about maybe you're not going to get the result. Like you will get the results that you want if you go in and be intentional about it and do the work during the challenge. Like I'm going to do the challenge with you guys because I haven't done the challenge yet, but I know about it. So I'm super excited about it. So tell us a little bit more about, if there's anything else you want to add, why people should do this 10-day challenge.
Oh, it's going to be so fantastic. We've done it so many times now, and thousands and thousands and thousands of lives have changed from this, and yours will too. This is really, like we talked about today, it's mindset that slows people down from what they want most. If you have all the strategies in the world on how to build a business, but you don't have the right mindset behind it, it doesn't even matter if you have the right strategy. You just won't apply it, or you won't put your all into it. It's kind of like weight loss, right? If you think about weight loss, is it actually complex to lose weight? No, it's super, super simple. You actually have to look harder to not know how to do it. You actually have to look harder for just how to stay out of shape, because there's weight loss strategies everywhere. But the reason that it doesn't happen is because the mindset that we approach weight loss with, and I say we as a society approach weight loss with, overcomplication, the mindset of it, don't deserve to be healthy, whatever it is. And so we need to fix the mindset going on behind the scenes so that we can succeed faster. So what this 10-day challenge is all about, it's called the Success Accelerator. It's all about how do high performers achieve their goals so much faster and with so much less stress than all their peers. And how do you do that so that you can experience more success and happiness this year? But here's the key: without working more hours. Because most people have the belief that success requires more sacrifice. Well, if you think you have to sacrifice time with your family and time with your husband or wife to build a business and to succeed, then you're not going to want to do what it takes. It doesn't require more hours. It requires alignment. It requires the right mindset going into success. So we're going to learn the single biggest key on how to 10x your level of success. We're going to learn how to believe in possibility. You're going to become driven by this compelling vision of a future. You're going to learn how to narrow your focus. You're going to learn how to say no. You're going to learn how to increase your daily energy like that so that you feel alive. You'll learn how to strive for so much more while also loving and appreciating where you're at now. You're going to learn how to give up perfection forever, so it doesn't become a part of you. We teach you a skill called anti-perfection. You learn the art of fulfillment. How do we feel fulfilled before we're at the level of success that we desire? And this is one of the greatest keys to achieving more. And how to take more time off and be more present while increasing your income and decreasing your hours. And lastly, I'm going to teach you something powerful called the magnetic success formula. It's really how do the highest performers that you know attract the biggest goals into their life. The time, the money, the spouse support, everything. How do you attract that and what you want into your life? And so it's totally free. It's something I do a couple times a year just to serve and to give and to love and to get you into just our world so you can start experiencing success faster. We start on Monday. At the time of this recording, we start on Monday, and it's going to be in a private Facebook group where you're going to get live videos from me. I will be interacting with you every day, and you deserve it. You deserve to give yourself this challenge. You deserve to succeed faster, to feel less stress, and to feel fully alive on your path. So come join us. Join the thousands of people that will be in there again this time. And it's just going to be such a privilege to serve you. Krissy has all the links for all that stuff. But yeah, can't wait to see you in the Success Accelerator. It's going to be an amazing, amazing experience for you guys.
I'm really excited. Everyone who's listening, they already want to work less and enjoy more. That's something I say, in my podcast intro. I think I still say it in the new one. I'm saying it all the time. So they already want that. And you guys know that I teach, how to create and the logistical things, how to automate and how to do things to save yourself time. Like, this is also another missing piece to what's really going to just skyrocket your success. I have mindset coaching. I, partner that with the other things that I learn and I teach you. So it only made sense for me to bring Brad in and say, yes, like, this is awesome. My people need this, because it's the piece that I touch on, but I don't go deep, right? Like in Build a Blissful Business, we touch on mindset. We talk about not being enough, but I don't go deep. And so even this 10-day challenge is going to go deeper than I've gone with you guys. So I think that it's super, super important if you want to move forward and you want to be successful and you want to be happy and joyful doing it all, then I think this challenge is going to be just what you need. So loving it. Loving it. Yes. The links, if you're watching on YouTube, link will be in the description. If you are access this through the show notes, everything will be in the show notes, or you can go to thekrissychin.com/success. And that will get you, there'll be a button there. Click on that and that will lead you to Brad's registration. So make it super easy for you guys. I'll be there with you doing this challenge. So I'm super excited about it. What else? Do we need to tell them anything else?
Just a thank you. Thank you to them for listening. And thank you to you for being just one of the most incredible people ever. And just, I'm incredibly grateful.
I love that. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you for being here, for taking the time. If you're on YouTube in the comments, share with us something, a light bulb that went off, something, a little takeaway, something that you're going to use moving forward, and let us know how excited you are to join this 10-day challenge. We will be there with you. Everything, website, his social links, they'll all be in the show notes so you guys can connect with Brad. With Bad.
With Bad Brad.
You said bunny, I said bad. Super easy. And just continue to have him on your journey with you. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. Can't wait to see you guys next week. Remember, imperfect action every single day. Done is better than perfect, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that, so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips, is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube, and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.